Hello, hello, and welcome to the first edition of the podcast labeled Hot Pockets and Gin. I'm your host, Lawson, Lawson, and I would like to start with introductions. I just introduced myself. You can go ahead and introduce yourself if you want to, but this is a podcast, so I can't hear you. I have two dogs and a cat. One dog is named Athena, one is named Peanut, and my cat's name is Mashed Potatoes. You may be asking, well, why is your cat named Mashed Potatoes? And the answer to that is none of your business. The first thing I will be introducing to this podcast is the flavor of the day. Now, the flavor of the day is going to be a flavor of Hot Pocket for each episode of the podcast. It may not relate to the topic, which I'll get to later. Or it may. Who knows? I do, because I'm the host. The flavor of today, since today is the first episode, is the most basic flavor of Hot Pocket. Ham and cheese. Next, I will get into the topic as previously stated. The topic of today is introductions, and I already got mine out of the way. But I will introduce my family members to you. They will not be in this room, though, because most of them can't attend anyways. I have a mother, like everybody else, including orphans. Orphans have mothers, they just don't have them with them. Sorry, babes. I also have a father. A lot of people don't have fathers, so I'm very lucky to have one. Sucks to suck. I have an older brother who lives in South Carolina and has a child and a wife, I think? Like spouse or just a significant other, who knows? I certainly don't. I'm just the host. I have an older sister named Grace. She attends UNT. I am a high school senior, so I will also be attending UNT next year. I'm terrified. I have a little sister. Her name is Ira. She is a K-pop stan, so that's how my life is going. Really cool. I have a little brother named Thane, and I hate his guts. And that's all I'm gonna say. What sets me apart from other podcasters, you say? Nothing. I'm just a dude sitting at his desk recording a podcast because someone told him to. Now, the last and final thing I will include in this podcast is Album of the Day. An Album of the Day is a thing I was inspired to do from my older podcast that flopped infamously because nobody would get online and do it. You may know it as short but sweet. I know it but as short and bitter because it sucked. It didn't suck because of the quality, it sucked because we weren't able to produce anything. Now, the album of today is not really an album, because today's the first episode and I have little to no preparation for this episode. The album, or rather, the song, will be Hello by Adele. It's just another song with hello in the lyrics, so you can add that to a list and make a video about it later. I was going to, but since this episode will reach out to all of 3 people, I might as well not, because they will probably do it for me. Hello came out when Vine was still alive, so it's a very, 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 very old song. And the Vines that were inspired by the song were immediately talked about by how depressing the song was. For example, the person, or the Viner, would say, hey, listen to this song, and the other person in the Vine, which was the same person just with something on their head or like a colored and facial feature, would immediately listen to the first piano keys of the song and everything would go gray and they would start crying. Overall, great song, 3 out of 5 stars. Now you may be asking yourself, well, Lawson, it's 4 minutes and 8 seconds into the podcast and alcohol hasn't been mentioned at all. And you know alcoholics like to get straight to the point. Well, originally, before I decided to do the flavor of the day, Hot Pockets and Gin was just a really catchy title that I could use to hook in all of the alcoholics that I wanted, because they will really be the only ones listening to my podcast. Now, Hot Pockets came in later as, flavor of the day. And gin was just because gin and tonic. But gin in gin and tonic was always first. So I figured we might as well make gin last now. And I was like, well, what's a other random thing that I could name my podcast? Hot Pockets. So, very cool, Kanye. Thank you. I as a senior in high school, cannot drink. Therefore, I will not be having gin. And I am poor, so I will not be having Hot Pockets. We have a great time here at the podcast. Now, you may be... Oh, no, I'm not going to lead with that again. That's bad. Well, I'm going to lead with it again because it's my podcast. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, Lawson, what led you to recording a podcast? Aren't people tired of podcasts, especially from privileged white men? And to that I say, they are. But that sucks for them because I'm making a new one. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, Lawson, somebody told you to do this. Who told you? Well, many people have said, and by many I mean two, have said that I have a voice for radio, and in fact one of my teachers has stated that I should start a podcast. So I did that. Shout out to Coach Stevenson. Thank you for spawning this career of mine. Hopefully I will make money off of it. I have not much else to say. Every episode of my podcast will have a topic, as I stated. Who knows what the next topic will be? I do, because I'm the host. So yeah, thank you for listening in, and goodbye!